Greetings from Chicagoland. You're listening to Munira's Musings, where your host Munira will showcase new guests each week to share exciting details about the journey to their niches. As we like to say, the riches are in the niches. And on this show, we'll share ideas on how to break through our invisible boundaries so we can start taking steps towards our dreams and create the life that we most desire. If you're passionate about impacting lives, then this podcast will give you some great ideas and equip you with the tools to quickly grow your business. Okay, let's get started with today's show. Here's your host, Munira.
Greetings from Chicagoland. This is Munira, your host from Munira's Musings. How are you, everybody? Welcome to another episode. Our guest today is Riana Milne. She is joining us all the way from Florida. Now, what does she do? She helps women, and she is a love trauma recovery coach. Now, you're going to say, why do you need such a coach like that? But I'll tell you for a second, we all do need that. So welcome to our show, Riana. How are you doing?
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. I'm doing great. It's another sunny day in Florida. How could anything be wrong? It's gorgeous.
Yeah,
thanks for having me today.
We've had a little bit of change of weather here, and we've had rain and thunderstorms and lots of rain and lots of water, lots of flooding. But, it is also needed because the grass people with lawns were very, very adamant about getting the rain so that the lawns can be lush again. Thank you for being here. Ladies and gentlemen, we bring you a coach, a expert, a subject matter expert every week so that we can talk to them to figure out what their journey to their niche is. Also, why are they here? What are they doing now with the gifts they've accumulated? So without further ado, let's talk to Riana. Riana, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Currently, I'm featured in Forbes magazine. Wealth Insider named me one of the top 10 coaches in 2021 to follow. I'm a #1 best-selling author. This month, I'm out in Disrupt magazine in a feature article. And in March, I was in Influencer Daily. I was named one of the top 100 successful women around the world. But other than business, I have 2 amazing daughters and son-in-laws and 6 incredible, adorable grandsons. Their families are in Austin and Orlando area. I'm very happy to be doing the work I do with women and men around the globe, ages 16 to 76, working with singles and couples to heal both childhood and love trauma.
So why did you join this kind of work? What made this happen?
Start way at the beginning. When I was 16 years old, I did unfortunately lose a very dear childhood friend of mine to a drunk driver. And I needed to process that loss and the grief. And I asked my mother if I could go to counseling. And she said, no one in this family will ever go to counseling. And in my defiance, I said that I will grow up and become one. And I started reading Psychology Today magazine and reading the masters like the Dalai Lama and Deepak Chopra, Marianne Williamson, The Course of Miracles, Tony Robbins, and learning a lot of mindset work. And I just loved it. I loved how it made me feel. So I continued my study of mindset. I did go to Penn State for broadcast communications, and unfortunately I had a second tragedy. And that roommate of mine for 3 years, her name was Corinne, was murdered by her boyfriend in a domestic violence incident. So that made me say, I have to help other women. I did the best I could to get her away from this guy, but she was love addicted. And I wanted to help other women get out of abusive relationships. Lo and behold, I had a marriage. And he ended up frauding my mother out of $200,000. So I had a love trauma. I didn't stay in that relationship. I moved on with nothing and a bankruptcy as a single mom and opened up a model and talent agency in school. And from there, I was teaching people to reach their dreams and modeling, singing, acting, and dancing using mindset work. I always knew I wanted to get a master's in psychology. And that was after I launched my two daughters. I went back for a triple master's in psychology and opened up my own practice in year 2000. So it's been 24 years that I've been in private practice as a therapist. And then in 2017, I decided to go global, taking the message of the impact of childhood trauma and how that impacts men and women, straight and LGBTQ singles and couples in life, love, and business. So this childhood trauma impacts 100% of us. And through my many different jobs, I was always working about 5 jobs to help pay my mother back that debt. And I took that on because it wasn't fair for her to lose that type of money. But back then, it was a huge amount of money. So I worked with children in every grade level of the schools as a crisis counselor, trauma counselor from kindergarten all the way through college. It's called a SAC counselor. I worked in my own private practice. I worked in a mental health hospital with kids ages 5 through 19, drug and alcohol facilities. One was for teens and one was for women from the prison system. I had other jobs, but those are just a few. Oh, I taught at a college as well. Future drug and alcohol counselors. And none of them were trained in the impact of childhood trauma that it has in our life and relationships and healing. So that was my message I started taking to the world after I developed my childhood trauma checklist assessment. And that's how I got into my work. My pain became my purpose and my passion.
So that is awesome, right? I mean, not the hurting part, but the fact that you took your pain into passion.
Yes.
So the question that comes to my mind is that, yes, you didn't go to counseling, but what and how did you get over your friend?
I took his soul into my soul and lived my life with double purpose, as with Corinne. And I often teach the lessons. I mean, really, for me, it was a lot of spirituality. I became very spiritual at 16, 17, 18, and I'm still a normal teenager, but that was a very important part of my life and my healing and my growth. When I was getting out of that marriage at 26 years old and a bankruptcy of $750,000, a lot of people would sink into pity me and victim mode. I didn't have the time to do that. I had to be very focused and create a new life for myself, opening up the talent agency with the first month's rent. And this was in Erie, PA, and people there, it'll never work. My husband says, see how far you'll get in this town without my last name. And I said, watch me. So within 6 months, I competed for an International Model and Talent Association award and won Educational Excellence. Within the year, I won the Model and Talent School of the Year award. So, I always teach people, if you have a dream and you have the mindset for success, which now I've been teaching over 40 years, you can do whatever you dream in life. And that reminds me of my daughter's story, Alexi Panos, who's a global coach, one of the top coaches in the world today. As a child at 5 years old, she's sitting in front of the television watching Save the Children commercial. And she goes, Mom, I'm going to go to Africa and save those kids one day. And I said, I totally believe you will. I'm so proud of that goal. You'll hang on to that wish and that dream and you will make it happen. And at 15, she wanted to be a global singer. She was singing with the top recording artists of the time in America, went on world tour, ended up in Africa, looked down at the tour bus at these poor little children and their families. And she goes, I'm going to do that dream now. I may not be rich, I'm not famous, but I can do something. And today, her charity called Epic has over 21 working water wells in Tanzania, Africa area. So when I have clients come to me that have children, I teach this very important message of the mindset for success. And while I was in schools, I was teaching my elementary children and other students of all grade levels, to use this mindset despite their family situation, to get out of school, work hard, and go for their dreams and their goals.
So, you bring a very good point. Many people have a dream. That's why I'm the niche navigator. They have a dream because they have a dream, but they do not implement it. Now you have come out of the little dug hole, but you came out, and you didn't just jump out of there, or nobody threw you a rope. You had to pick yourself out of there. But when you do that, and when you come out of there and you decide, you know what, I'm going to do something, and you make it happen. Most people are going to say, I don't have the money. I don't have the resources. I don't. How do you change the don't to the do's, and you do with what you have? How do you do that?
I love that question. I always ask, due to my spirituality, what can I do? And this is part of the Mindset for Success training that I teach. That's called living in the light. We are always aiming to live in the light, which is the present moment, to create our future. I had a bankruptcy at 26 of $750,000. I could not get a bank loan. Okay. So what I did with my talent agency was open with my first month's rent. Then a competing school turned me into the Department of Education in Pennsylvania, saying she's running a training center without being licensed. I didn't know I needed a license. I was 26 years old. So I talked to the man from the Department of Education and said, please help me. I'm a single mother, no child support, trying to support my children and pay my mother back at the same time. I have to pick them up at 3:00 every day from school. I will get licensed. What do I need to do? So the first thing is you need a textbook for your school. Well, there was no textbook on commercial modeling, so I had to write one. And that was my first book of 13 that I have written, which was 250 pages. But it did quite well, selling for $50 to every student I have there every 10 years. But, it's like, what can I do? I can work with this person. I had 6 months to get licensed. I show up, there's a big U of people, like probably 40 people, Department of Education. I'm 26. I just thought I had to talk to someone about my business. They're there, where's your attorney and your account? I'm like, you're looking at her. So I completed all the paperwork, which was 2 big notebooks this thick of all the requirements, and had my textbook, and I got passed. So then I was a licensed school, and that business served me quite well. Even though I had a bankruptcy, within 2.5 years, I had bought a home for my daughters and I, really pretty, in the country club area. And I created model and talent camps at a college campus for the summers. And I went on and bought another home for my school a few years later. So by 32 years old, I had 2 homes and a good life for my daughters. And I was still paying my mom back. So it took me 16 years to do that, but I also had a life that I enjoyed. So it was always about mindset and balance and waking up to 3 goals a day. This mindset practice I've been doing for 40 years. My daughters have learned it. My clients all do it. So when my clients work with me, we're not only healing the old childhood messages. Like I grew up, one of the traumas is hearing a lot of lack messages. Like my dad wasn't home much, so my mom had 5 kids, and it's like, we can't pay the bills this month. We don't have the money. I don't have enough for groceries. It was always those lack messages. So that was something I had to heal within me to say, okay, well, I was bankrupt and I don't have any money. How am I going to do this? Well, I can get enough for my first month's rent. And then I went from there. And when I was turned into the Department of Education, it's like, what can I do? I was proactive, not reactive. I wasn't angry at the school that turned me in because I was their new competition. I had to focus on what I needed to do right here in the moment. So living in the light means you are educated with mindset tools and you have spiritual faith and trust that your dream can come to fruition. I always say God helps those who help themselves. So as long as I was doing the work every day, at least 3 goals a day, and kept moving towards my dream in a positive direction, had no focus on the past or revenge or anger, because that would not serve me. What would serve me is focusing on the here and now, my goals, my dreams, and doing something proactive every day.
You talked 3 times actually, for the 3 goals a day. Elaborate on that a little bit.
Yeah, that's actually, I have a workbook. Those are two of my books that I wrote. One was for singles, one is for couples. And our module one is about healing your childhood trauma, wounds, and messages. And two is the mindset goals for success. So I asked my client, what life do you desire? And we have a big pie chart. And they put something in every slice of the pie chart. And it's like, now put where you are there now. So let's say someone says, I want to start a coaching business, but they haven't done it yet. So they're at 0. So part of my job as their coach is looking at their whole life wheel and making those dreams happen. So our motto is create the life you desire and have the love you deserve. Because if you're single and looking for that emotionally healthy relationship, you have to be happy within yourself first. You have to clean up all the odd ends. Like me, I wanted to be out of debt, make sure my mom was handled. I wanted to make sure my girls were okay. Then I could move on to have a healthier relationship because I was happy with my life and myself. So we look at all the life areas that they want to achieve for themselves. Then they learn part 2 of the program is how to date successfully. I say there's an art and psychology to dating successfully. There's much to learn that we never learned from our families, in our schools, not even a master's program in psychology, okay, to have emotionally healthy relationships. So, and especially in today's dating world, there's a lot of scammers and frauds, and you have to know the do's and don'ts and the rules to keep you safe and still feeling empowered, because there's a lot of unhealthy activity out there, people ghosting and trying to take advantage of you. The narcissists, the sociopaths are out there. You really need to know what you're doing. And when you do, then you're dating with confidence. And I have like 25 questions people should be asking, not interview style, just having a conversation that helps you to uncover if this person is right for you or not before you get too emotionally involved.
So I'm going to go back to what we have been speaking about. You talk about childhood trauma. That's not always drama from family, but also hurt of losing somebody and everything. There are many, many people who have gone through childhood trauma. I lost my mom at 12. Childhood trauma. And so people who've never met people like you, how do they go on? Some people, I just know they break and they can't go on. And
if you'd like, I'll go into what some of the childhood traumas are. Yours that you did discover is one under abandonment, and it's called no fault abandonment, which is losing a parent early. And that's a very profound, what we call big T trauma. Little t traumas are ongoing events that happen over and over and over again, such as trauma 7, which we call personal trauma. That means that you felt different or you didn't fit in, like maybe growing up a chubby child and you were teased for that, or you were skinny and very smart and called a nerd, or you were the only African American in an all Caucasian school, so you felt different, you didn't fit in. Or coming out as a gay or lesbian teen and your peers or your family doesn't accept you. So all of these types of things are trauma 7. But the abandonment one, some other no-fault abandonments would be if a parent goes off and serves your country in war, or if your parent travels a lot and is away from the family. That was my situation. We did not know that my dad was FBI and CIA. We just never knew where he was. So that leaves a child very anxious, but that was the way he supported his family. So that's a no-fault abandonment. A fault abandonment would be never being involved with your child's life, or you were involved until the couple broke up and then you rarely see your child. And it can even mean there's a parent in the home, but they're not emotionally attached. They're too busy with their work lives. They go from the office to dinner and then into their home office, and they barely interact with their children. So there's different forms of abandonment, and that's just one of 10 traumas that I name on the checklist. But our listeners can get that for free on my website, RianaMilne.com. It's called the Childhood Trauma Checklist, where I name all 10 of the top traumas.
This has been pretty interesting. Let me ask you one more question. You said you are now featured on Forbes magazine. How did that happen?
Well, different media people reach out to me and they said, we've seen your work. We see different things that you've done, because I post all over social media under Riana Milne or Coach Riana Milne, and they follow you. And then they said, this magazine would like to do a feature, like Disrupt Magazine this month just did a feature on me. So they ask you, they interview you as far as what is your work and what is your goal around your work and what type of people do you help? And then they write an article on you. So that's how those have come to be. I'm very honored when they happen and very happily surprised when they do come about.
No, that's wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing that. So one of the things that people talk about is moving on. You know what, just forget it. You can just move on, right?
Yeah.
Everybody has felt loss. Everybody has felt some kind of thing. What do you think is the most, what do you think that people don't do so that they are stuck in this rut and never move on forward? Because
yeah.
I am amazed, at different people who have literally spooned their way out of whatever situation they are, and
yes.
Has everybody done a bankruptcy? Not everybody, but a lot of people have, because it's there and there's a way to get out of it.
Yeah.
Has anybody lost, people have, like you were talking about abandonment. I'm not the only person who's lost a parent. So there's a lot of people out there. But what can you keep? What's the one thing that holds people down and so they can't move and they're paralyzed? And what is the remedy to that?
Well, what's going on is that they're stuck in not having the coping mechanisms. They've never learned them, so it's not their fault. Childhood traumas is no one's fault. But due to the messages, the norms, or the behaviors that one grew up with as a child, whatever they were taught from parents or their environment, they seem stuck. They can't move forward. The Mindset for Success tools that I've been teaching since my 20s, helps you stay focused on what you can do. We all feel sad and traumatized when these types of losses happen, and here I'm pregnant with a daughter and my mom's ripped off, and here I'm carrying this person's child. So what do you do? So if you stay stuck in the fear, the negativity, the anger, the jealousy, the loss, you are only hurting yourself and maybe your children if you do have children. So it was my goal, especially having daughters, to make sure I was empowered enough to teach my daughters to be empowered young women to move on. So you need a higher purpose from the pain. I call it find the good from the bad. That's a chapter in my Live Beyond Your Dreams book about, the mindset of, okay, this happened. Now what do we do with it? And we don't always know why we're going through these horrible trials and tribulations. In Buddhism, we call this the Earth School, and we're here to learn many lessons, right? So what lesson can I get out of this? Take the lesson, bring it into the now, and move forward. So all that pain that I went through taught me to be an empowered woman. All the mindset work I learned from Michael's loss taught my models, actors, and singers and dancers to go for their dreams, who ended up on TV shows, commercials. I had a dancer who wanted to be a rockette in New York City, whatever their dreams are. Even my own daughter, who's singing on 3 multi-platinum CDs. Take your dreams and focus on that, not on the losses. For the loss of a person, I had learned through spirituality, take their heart and soul into yours and live your life with double purpose. What would they want you to do? So I grew up to become an advocate for men and women of domestic violence, as well as a drug and alcohol counselor in Michael's spirit. I didn't have that issue in my family, but I did that, to help those who were struggling with addiction, so that they couldn't hurt other people. So I did that in Michael's spirit. So I've dealt with a lot of people who have had losses in their life, and we have to make sense out of the loss. And how can we take that message or that lesson or that person forward with us and celebrate their life in a way that will impact others? You know, so for Corinne's spirit, I'm helping people of domestic violence and traumatic or toxic relationships to heal and move forward and not stay stuck in this cycle of violence.
That is so amazing. So I love the message, take your pain and turn it into passion. Just
yes.
love that. Any last words that you want to leave for our viewers?
Yes, I really want to encourage, people, if you are struggling, definitely go to my website, rianamilne.com. And there's the 4 free love tests. Do them all. They're for singles and for couples tests there. The first 60 pages of my books, Live and Love Beyond Your Dreams. And the love book is Break Free of Toxic Relationships to Have the Love You Deserve. The first 60 pages are free, so download those for yourself. I do have a podcast that's free. It's called Lessons in Life and Love with Coach Riana Milne, and that's on every podcast platform and my YouTube channel. I think I have 350 tapes. And there is a free ebook, How to Have the Love You Deserve, on my website also, rianamilne.com. So there's a lot of free resources to get you started. But certainly if you know you're struggling, and then because you're struggling, you have children and you're struggling, reach out to me to meet with me for 90 minutes for a life and love transformation discovery session. That's on a super special right now on my website, right on the homepage, an orange button. And I'll be glad to meet with you and make sense of what you experienced as a child and how that's showing up today for you in life, love, or business, and get you to move forward and create the dreams that you have.
Thank you so much for all those resources. You'll have to write them down. But rianamilne.com, right? rianamilne.com. Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, here is a woman who had nothing, lost a lot of people, and then she realized, you know what, I'm going to spoon my way out. I like that. I just going to spoon my way out. Yes. But the thing is, having read on all of the gurus, Tony Robbins, the people you mentioned, Deepak Chopra and all of them, they have influenced you. Yeah. So one message, if you are stuck somewhere, find a thought leader out there and read their stuff, because you don't know what you're going to read and how that material is going to impact you. So that's one thing. That's what I got. And then 2 is then don't just sit there on the sidelines. This show is created also for those people who are thinking of becoming an entrepreneur and they're just sitting on the sidelines thinking, should I jump into this pool or not? Well, jump in. You know what? You've not done it, so you'll never know the success. And even if you jump in, you had, and I know this because I've thought about it, what if it doesn't work? But what if it does? What if it does? Right. Then what are you going to do? So jump in and bring your idea to fruition, because she said it, Riana said it, it's all about mindset.
It is.
If you're holding yourself back, the mindset is going to say, you know what, it's never going to succeed. If you're holding yourself and just go forward and jump into this pool of entrepreneurship, you're going to either swim away and get to that island faster, or you'll just waddle with all of the others that are waddling and are trying to get away to get to that island of success.
There will always be doubters in your life. And it's ironic that usually the closest people to you doubt you the most. So your mindset has to be stronger than all the doubters. That watch me mindset was so important to get me to the other side of my pain and to prove that I could do it and create a better life for my daughters. And that was my main goal, to help other people with their dreams as well as create my own, and that for my daughters, to give them the message that they can do whatever they want. I do mentor people in business as well to help them get started, but the mindset for success is everything. And, it's funny when people says, well, these little people from Erie, Pennsylvania won't be models or actors. Well, yes, they did become that, if they believed in it. So I was called the dream maker. And so whatever it is you dream in your life, the important thing is take action today and don't listen to all the noise out here. Your mindset has to be stronger. You can do this. You just have to believe in yourself and have faith. Spiritual faith is a big part of this for your success. But, you certainly can create that life you desire and have the love you deserve. And I'm going to encourage you, don't wait. Do it today.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. So do it today. And today, now is the moment. If you like what we are bringing you, please go ahead, like, share, and subscribe to our channel. And go ahead and tell this to other people and tell this to yourself. Stand in front of a mirror and tell yourself, I can do this. We'll see you again next week with another guest who is going to blow your mind with another dream that they had and the niche that they are helping their people with. Until next week, see you.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Munira's Musings. We hope that you found today's conversation inspiring and useful so that you can continue making progress towards mastering your own niche. Please tune in next week for another episode, and in the meantime, you can follow us on social media at Munira's Musings on Facebook and leave us a review wherever you're listening to podcasts. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.